Welcome back, guys, to the Futbal Biz podcast. As always, I am Graysen Mortimer, and I am joined today by Evan. We're going to talk about some big stories that have happened in the football world this week, primarily transfers, Leagues Cup, and, of course, the Women's World Cup. That's what we have on our plate today. So let's jump right into it. We have some big transfer news, the first of which is Josko Vardiol to Manchester City. Now, I talked about this in a couple episodes ago with my guest host, Mitch Piotr, and I didn't realize that this deal had almost collapsed because of Fabrizio Romano. So, Leipzig were unhappy with him leaking it too early, and then eventually Man City and Leipzig were able to come up with an agreement and make him the most expensive defender of all time, beating out none other than Harry Maguire, Evan's favorite player. I'm a big fan of this transfer. I do think he's a class center back. He's very young. Unlike Maguire, I do think he's actually a good defender. And yeah, I think is he worth 90 mil? We'll see. We'll see. That is a very steep price tag, especially for a center back. But I think at the end of the day, I think Pep will make an absolute monster of this guy.
I mean, yeah, sure. If you're paying that much money for a player like him, you always have to expect some good return from him. And nonetheless, even then, we've seen when Man City have splashed the cash on players, they do eventually turn out well. Like we've seen that now with Jack Grealish. Finally, he's starting to turn out a bit more. So if he doesn't start off too well, I mean, you just gotta let it set in, and hopefully, then he'll turn up eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he will. And as you mentioned, Grealish, I personally hated that deal when it went through. I thought it was terribly overpriced. But yeah, he was class last year, and I think him and Holland really connected well, and that's part of why City went on to win the treble. But yeah, no, I think outside of the likes of uh, uh Nolito and that big defender Mangala, I think outside of those guys, I mean, City's been pretty much a hit for transfers. Calvin Phillips is another one that's frankly shocking, but outside of those guys, I mean, they're usually pretty good when it comes to the transfer business, even if they are a little more expensive. More hits than misses for sure. But yeah, no, Guardiol is going to City, and the next one is also a center back, which is Mickey Van de Ven to Tottenham for about 50 mil. Coming over from Wolfsburg. I don't know a ton about him personally, but from everything I've seen, by all accounts, he is a decent defender. Granted, he's going to Spurs, so we'll see how he does.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it should hopefully work out. He's only 22 years old. He's only coming up now in the Dutch team. So, I mean, he seems like a good prospect anyway that can, hopefully burst onto the scene eventually.
Yeah, he has yet to play a senior cap for the Netherlands, but he has played a decent amount for their youth team. So I do think he'll come good. I'll give Vardiol about a solid 9. I do think the transfer is good. This one I'm going to give more of a 7. 50 mil for a guy that has had a decent Bundesliga career, but I wouldn't call him a star. I mean, we really didn't hear much about him before this transfer, so it's a matter of what Spurs fans think of him. But overall, I would say it's a decent transfer. I think he'll help their defense. I mean, outside of Christian Romero, can Tottenham's defense really get any worse? Probably not. But
No,
hopefully, my words don't come back to haunt me, and hopefully he's good and not an absolute disgrace.
well, he should be able to get some players off the ball. I mean, he's 6'4" anyway, so can't go wrong there.
Yeah, that's true. He is a rather large defender, and for the most part, from what I've seen, Dutch defenders have typically been decent in the Prem. If you look at the likes of obviously Van Dijk,
Yeah.
Sven Botman is an absolute unit. So I
And
mean,
one of those is Dutch as well.
yeah, I mean, and back in the day, Jaap Stam was an absolute menace. So overall, I mean, Dutch defenders have had decent success in the Premier League. So hopefully, Van de Ven is the same for Tottenham fans. Our next transfer is Andres Iniesta. Now, there was a lot of speculation whether or not he'd go to Miami. Would he stay in Japan? Would he go elsewhere? He's got to Dubai. He signed for a team there. And yeah, I'm not really surprised by this. I didn't think he was going to go to Miami, especially with his age and also the MLS internationals and salary rules, which yeah, I mean those aside, I just didn't really see it happening. I didn't He didn't seem like an Inter Miami player to me. And yeah, I think Dubai's a good move for him. He'll get one final paycheck and probably hang the boots up either next season or the season after.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed though because I was kind of hoping he'd listen in more to some of the deals there for Miami because that would have been great if he was able to link up with the likes of Alaba, Messi. Who's the other one that's also there too? I can't think of his name.
But Busquets.
Busquets, that's right. Yeah, Busquets. No, that would have been great if he was able to. I'm not entirely sure what the fee was though that Dubai paid for him though, or what wages he's gonna be if you know any better.
I believe it was a 1 year deal. I didn't see any of the financials related to it, so I'm sure more will come out about that. But yeah, as of right now, he is going to Dubai. I mean, it's one of those leagues that just has a lot of cash for those big names. So I think he'll be compensated quite nicely. And since I mentioned it, the MLS cap rules, they actually are improving by next season. They are
Mm.
adding a fourth designated player spot, which I think is huge for the league. I think it really needs that. And then also they're increasing the cap from 5.2 million to 7 million, which is actually massive. I mean, that's a big increase. You're increasing it by about 20% there. So I think that move is definitely going to help MLS compete with these big leagues around the world. And yeah, I think it's a good move for the league as a whole.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to that, especially with Charlotte, because we definitely need some new players coming in. Not to get off topic, but just since we're like just getting rid of everyone right now, all the potential that we have, it just seems we're declining more and not going in the right direction. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you did sign Scott Arfeld and Ashley Westwood, so there's some decent players in there. But yeah, anyways, as for the next transfer, it is Arthur Cabral going from Fiorentina to Benfica for about 25 million euros on this front. Now, the reason he's doing this is because of our next transfer. But yeah, Benfica get a good Brazilian striker. They've had some good ones in the past. The likes of Jonas, I think, were absolutely insane for them. Kind of going from a nobody who played for Valencia to an absolute unit in the Portuguese league. Um, but yeah, I think Cabral will be good. He was decent for Fiorentina last year. Did have some trouble getting in with the likes of Luka Jovic still in the team, but 25 mil, it's a decent amount of money, especially for Benfica. They don't usually spend that. They usually sell for that amount
Yeah.
or more in a lot of cases. And I think it should be a good move.
Yeah, no, hopefully, yeah, it goes well. I mean, considering with his career anyway, he's kind of bounced around from team to team. So if he's able to settle in well and, find a home in Benfica, then he should be able to shine, especially since like the fact that Benfica have been selling off more of their players than they have been keeping.
Yeah, I mean that's what they do. They're one of the best selling clubs in the world. I mean, they're up there with the likes of Ajax, where they just have these amazing farm systems and they just find these players and breed these players and they just become absolute units. And the most recent one is of course Gonzalo Ramos, who is going to PSG on loan. I think this is a move that kind of says they're ready to move on from Mbappe. I mean, it's a big move of intent as he's on loan. I believe there's an option to buy for about 80 million. I could be wrong with that, but yeah, I think Ramos is looking to potentially be the guy to lead the lines for PSG this year.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. He's had a very good career when it came to Benfica, and then not to mention also kind of shining at the World Cup as well when he had that one match against, I believe it was Switzerland.
Switzerland, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one because Ronaldo got benched and he got in place for him. So I mean, no, it's an okay signing, I'd say, on PSG's part. But if you're looking to replace the likes of the front three that was at PSG, it's big boots to fill. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, massively. I mean, Ramos is a good player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not Mbappe. I mean, no one is Mbappe. I
Mm.
mean, Mbappe is one of the top two players in the world, all up there with Holland. I mean, there's arguments made all day. Personally, I would say that Mbappe is a better, well-rounded player, but I think Holland had a better season last year, so I think Holland should be the one to win the Ballon d'Or. But anyways, yeah, Ramos goes to PSG. I think, I mean, he should probably score 20 goals in this league, even with the weakened side. The lack of Messi and Mbappe, I think, should still be fine. I mean, Neymar wants to leave too, but one guy that is joining PSG to help him is Ousmane Dembele. This transfer has been made official for about 50 mil. Good deal for both clubs, them and Barcelona. Barcelona really made. I mean, he was decent for them, but just way too much time in the injury table. I mean, he was always hurt. 120 mil, I think, was what they got him from Dortmund for, and I mean, it did not pan out overall.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It is a good move, I say, for both clubs. But personally, for Dembele, I think this is a downgrade for him, even though he does get to, play in his home league anyway. It's just for a career, like to like get your career kind of back up to where you want it to be. It's not the right move, I'd say, to go to League One.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw a friendly match with Barcelona youngsters, just coming in there, and I think it's Barcelona's really kind of being forced to move towards a youth movement because, frankly, they can't really afford anyone else. And I think that selling Dembele was a necessary step. As for the downgrade claim, I mean, maybe PSG is still a decent team. I mean, he's probably going to win the league.
Yeah,
They always compete in the Champions League, they never win the competition, but you know, the oil club has finally won it, last year, with City. So maybe this year it'll be PSG, although without that front three, I honestly don't see it.
no.
But yeah, I think it's a good move for him. I think he'll be a guaranteed starter when he does play. I say when because I mean he's I mean let's be honest, he's not going to play that much. He's always injured. But
Yeah.
yeah, moving on from confirmed transfers to some speculation. The first one we have to talk about is Harry Kane, and yeah, basically it was revealed that Bayern Munich did put in €100 million bid for him, and Tottenham turned it down.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a little bit. And I just gotta say, I just have to say this. If I was Harry Kane, and this week he apparently said he wants to get a deal done before the Premier League, or otherwise he's going to spend another year at Tottenham. But why, Daniel Levy? Why are you keeping this guy like a prisoner at
Hostage,
Spurs?
yeah.
This guy has given your team everything. He scored over 260 goals for your team. He's been as loyal as you could ask for. Like he's one of the best strikers the league has ever seen, and you're basically holding him hostage this year. I mean, I get he signed a 5-year contract a few years ago, but why are they holding him prisoner? Basically, like Daniel, you realize if you sell a 29-year-old for 100 mil, you can just reinvest that. The reason Harry Kane came to prominence was because after reinvesting all their Gareth Bale money, Roberto Soldado was so bad that they had to find a replacement from the youth setup. That replacement was Harry Kane. Like they need to sell him. They just need
Yeah.
to.
And may I also add, like, you're probably not going to see any more higher money now because he's just going to get older and he might start decline a little bit too. So I don't really see another bid that's going to go higher than that, than what Bayern have just offered.
There won't be one. Like it's insane. I don't know why you would reject $100 million like euros for a guy that is 29. I get he's one of the best in the world. He really is. He's a generational talent. I mean, he may sound like a guy who, likes to, spit for fun, but he 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 needs to leave this team. He's gonna go down like if he spends his whole career at Tottenham, he is gonna go down as one of the most wasted careers of all time, if not number
Yeah,
one. There's an
sure.
argument to be made for number one
Yeah,
easily.
I agree.
Like he hasn't won anything. He's made a Champions League final. He almost won a Prem, but those are almost. Those aren't trophies.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to happen for him if he stays at that team. And Daniel Levy needs to let him go. That is, I'm not even a Spurs fan, and it makes me so mad that they're just holding him there. I mean, the guy's given your team everything. He's been there for over 10 years of his life. Like and arguably some of his peak years too. Like I don't get it, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, and let's also just add that the league is starting back this Friday as we speak, as for when this goes live, because this is now being recorded on Tuesday, so the league starts back this Friday. And yet he is still looking like he is going to be another season there under Celtic head coach or former Celtic head coach. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, thank you for that. But my point, I feel like that's still kind of a downgrade from Conte. I don't understand. Even then,
Oh,
Conte didn't have the answers.
no, he didn't, and he's a way better coach. I mean, he's won the Premier League twice. I I personally I believe I put Spurs eighth this season. I think I put them eighth again. That's what they got last year. I put them either seventh or eighth for the season because I have no confidence in their team. I put them seventh, so I have them getting the Conference League. I think that might be being generous, like personally. Seventh would be a good season for them. Like that's sad. That is so sad. Like the
Yeah,
fact
and
that I
this
put them seventh.
mm,
eh,
I could honestly give a hot take right now and say they could be bottom half of the table like Chelsea were this last season.
That's not even that much of a hot take. They could be.
Yeah,
Have you seen their defense? I
yeah.
get they just signed Van de Ven, but him and Romero. I mean, that's a decent center back pairing. But Lloris is not good anymore. I mean, frankly, they should have been in the market for a new goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's on the decline. I agree.
Other than Sonny and maybe Dejan Kulusevski, what else does this team have? Like they sold, they've gotten rid of some guys over the years. James Madison's okay. He's a good player, but
They
it's
signed
just
Basuma this past year as well.
that was 2 years ago. But they
Yeah.
got him a little while ago. He was awful last year.
Mm.
Richarlison's a flop. I knew he was going to be a flop from the moment they signed him. I didn't think he was going to be as bad as he was, but he was going to. I knew he wasn't going to be good. Like they need to let Kane go. They need to reinvest the money, buy a new striker. Like I don't know. I'm just going to throw a name out here, but look at Vlahovic. I get that they're Chelsea and Juventus are in talks there for swapping him for Lukaku, but
Mm.
hijack that deal. Hijack Vlahovic. Like the guy's a freaking tank. He's a good striker. Go to Fulham. Try to get Mitro. Like there's options out there to replace Kane. And I don't understand why they just hold him for ransom like this. It really does bother me.
Yeah, and then not to mention they were trying to go for Mbappe as well.
Well, that's never going to happen. And
Yeah.
that's actually, we can segue that into our next talking point here, which is Mbappe. I mean, he wants to leave PSG. It's obvious at this point. He's not training with the team. I think he should just like Real Madrid. I don't know what they're waiting for. Like he clearly wants to go there. There's no two ways about it. He wants Madrid. I don't think he wants to go anywhere else because he declined Saudi, which frankly I thought that was stupid. I think if I was him, I would have taken the 1 year at Saudi for 700 million. If that deal was true, like who declines that? It's 1 year, and then you get to go to Real Madrid as a free agent. Like I don't get it, but Madrid's got to step that up. They really need to sign him. They really do. Um, but yeah, Mbappe should be going there. I think it'll happen. But yeah, he's at this point just stalling PSG. He's declined all of their offers and he wants to go.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense to me either since he just signed that crazy deal like just about a season ago. All that just for this just for this drama again.
Well, it was a 2 year deal, and then for an option for 24, but he declined that option,
Yeah.
which basically means he's a guaranteed free agent after the season. And at this point, like PSG should just take the 150 mil or whatever fee Madrid gives them and just take it. Like
Take it
he
or
doesn't
run.
want to play for your club anymore. You've shopped him. Nowhere else can really afford him, like other than
Nope.
Saudi and maybe the biggest clubs in the Prem. Like, but City doesn't need him. I mean, Liverpool.
Yeah.
I don't think they could afford him, and their front line's already
We're too
pretty nasty
stingy
anyway.
for that. We got our
But
own problems.
you're too stingy, but also like
Yeah.
your front line's fine. Like you got Gakpo, Darwin, Jota, Salah, and Diaz. I mean, all those guys are there. Diaz has been linked with a move away, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's just like
Yeah. So like Liverpool
first.
doesn't need him. Chelsea, I don't see it.
That's not happening. Forget that. No.
I think they'll get Vlahovic before they get Mbappe. And then Man U just signed Hoyland. I
Yeah.
don't know how I feel about that one, but Man U signed Hoyland, and then
They have to
uh,
stick with Anthony as well.
oh, he's so bad. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, still they have to live with that.
yeah, like it's Man U. I don't think has Mbappe written all over them. They really just don't seem like it. And then
Arsenal, yeah, well, that
Arsenal, not a chance.
it's the more logical one, but at the same time, it's just yeah.
No, no, and Arsenal have their own deal with. I mean, they got Balogun and Nketiah to deal with right now. So yeah. Anyways, that's all I need to say for Mbappe. Madrid just needs to step up their game.
I
But
agree.
as for the final rumor or transfer speculation we have is actually before we get to Neymar, because that is the last one. MLS even submitted a bid for Mbappe.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's not happening. They wanted to do a similar structure to Messi, but it's just I don't see it. Like Messi's already declined, or Mbappe's already declined Saudi. I just don't see it happening. But
No, yeah,
anyways,
that's
yeah.
definitely not happening.
Now moving on to Neymar. Neymar, I could potentially actually see going to MLS. Now, maybe he is 30. 31. He's 31.
Yeah,
Um, I see. I mean, if he doesn't stay in Europe, I see LAFC written all over this guy's face. I just do.
yeah. I could. That seems like potentially a good landing spot for him. Either that, I don't know, maybe Galaxy. Into
Yeah, one of the
Miami.
LA teams.
Into Miami, they don't really need a
They
striker right
can't.
now.
I don't think they could take him
Yeah,
right now.
they can't even afford that right now.
No, they already have their European startlets. They don't need Neymar. I don't think they can afford Neymar, even with the DP expansion. Um, I see Neymar going to if he comes to MLS, he loves LA. He absolutely loves LA. I see him going there. I just see him going
Yeah,
to if not
I
LA,
s-
New York.
I don't even know about New York. Like New York, when it comes to MLS, it's still hit and miss anyway.
Yeah, well, more or less. That I mean, New York's had some good players in the past, though. I mean, they had
Yeah, they have. Don't get me wrong.
Henri, Villa, Pirlo, Lampard, even Tim Cahill. I would, he's not as good as those guys I just mentioned, but he was decent. Um, they've had some good players in the past, but yeah, I see Neymar going to LA, but I think it could happen. But he wants to leave PSG. That's the bigger topic here. And as for
Yeah,
the Prem, if he went to the Prem, I could actually see him going to Chelsea.
Chelsea would be a good shout, I'd say.
Yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I could see him going to Chelsea. I think that team could easily take him. And Kunku's now out for 4 months,
Yeah,
which that was my sneaky Premier League fantasy pick, and now I dropped him.
I never
Now
had him.
I had
I
to.
always had Isaac.
I have him too, but I have I had Nkunku, and I was like, oh, this sucks. I forget who I replaced him with. I think it was a Liverpool player. It might have been Gakpo.
Oh, that's a good shout. Yeah.
But yeah, I I had Nkunku, but yeah. Anyways, Neymar, I could see going to the Prem. Don't know how he'd do there because I mean, one Prem tackle and he'd probably dive around like a
Yeah, he'd
fish on
cry.
those
Like Van Dijk
stretches.
could just body him and he'd just start wailing.
Oh, Van Dyke or Botman or even the likes of like Ruben Diaz would just toss him to the ground and just yell at him in Portuguese, and Neymar couldn't do anything about it because he's just way smaller than those guys. But yeah, I mean, I think he should go to the Prem, if not the Prem MLS.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But that does it for our transfer news for the week. We have one big story before we move on to our match days, and that is the fact that Julian Lopetegui and Wolves have agreed to mutually part ways, which I found insane. I didn't see this coming at all. I thought he was gonna be in the ship for the at least the season until he got fired. I have Wolves 17th right now, to finish in the Prem. This move could easily send them down. I believe in Lopetegui enough as a coach. He's coached Spain, Real Madrid. I believe in him enough as a coach to keep them in. But now that he's gone, I mean, yikes.
Yeah, I'm not really too confident with Wolves. I wasn't even confident before that happened, but now after that, I can say I feel like this is just about a guarantee relegation for them.
Yeah, I think right now my bottom three is Luton, Sheffield, and Nottingham Forest. Nottingham
Mm.
Forest is the one that, like, if one of them stays up, I think it'll be them. Luton and Sheffield, I think they're screwed. I really want Luton Town to stay up. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, me too.
I think they're screwed. Like they haven't bought anybody, and they had to use all their
About like
money on their
one player.
stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not enough. I mean, for a team that small, I mean that team, if they stay up, it's going to be on vibes. That's just it. Like it's not happening any other way for them. It's just team spirit.
Yeah, no, my bottom three not right now I'm thinking of, it's probably Wolves, Sheffield, Everton.
Well, you want Everton to go down. I think I had them
Yeah, but
15th.
like realistically speaking though too, like they're still in a deep hole because of the transfers and everything, and they really haven't signed anybody to help.
Yeah, I mean they are. Don't get me wrong, but the only reason I believe in Everton at all this year is Sean Dyche. But moving back to Wolves, I do think that this hurts. And if Wolves are going to stay up, it's going to all be on their big striker, Sasha Kalajdzic. Now he was injured all of last season. He tore his ACL week one, which sucks. But they sold Raul Jimenez, but they couldn't score even with him. So Kalajdzic is going to have to step up. He's going to have to put in at least 15 if this team has any hope. Do I think he can? Yeah, he's a good striker. He's a great striker. He's Austrian. Um, he was their striker on their national team. He's a good player. If they stay up, it'll be him and then their defense. I mean, that's what it's going to have to come down to. Jose Sa is going to have a huge year. Max Killman's going to have a big year in defense, and the likes of I don't even know what they have for midfielders after selling Neves,
Yeah, I
but
was gonna say Neva's gone.
yeah, they're gonna have to conjure up something and really make this season for themselves. And losing Lopetegui definitely hurts.
Yeah, I mean Podence is gonna have to do something as well.
Oh yeah, he's still there. Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, no, he's he's
Yeah,
he's,
neither mind you.
he's gonna have to be good. Yeah, but we'll move on from that story. Moving on to our games, we are going to go over the first Arsenal winning the Community Shield over Man City. I personally, unfortunately, couldn't watch this game. I was out of the house when this was going on, but I go into my thing. I see to my phone. I see that 8 minutes of stoppage time are given, and then Leandro Trossard scores in 90 plus 11. Now, I didn't. Again, I haven't watched the game, but judging from what people said, even Arsenal fans,
Yeah.
there wasn't supposed to be that much stoppage time. But in the end of
Mm,
the day,
I was
City only have
confused.
themselves to blame. They subbed off everybody when the game was 1-0. Like
Mm.
you're against Arsenal. They're a good team. They finished
Yep.
second last season. They've only upgraded their squad. I mean, they got Rice, they got Havertz, they got what's his name? I'm
Oh,
blanking here.
Timber?
Timber, yeah.
Timber, yeah.
Um, yeah, like they got all those guys, and I mean they're a good team. Like Arsenal's a good team. They're not to be reckoned with. They're not to be trifled with at all. Um, so yeah, I really am gonna flog City for this, especially their inability to take penalties. But in the end of the day, a good win for Arsenal, and it'll get their season rolling.
Yeah, no, really. They fought back well anyway in that 8 minutes because I was surprised myself when it said eight added minutes because I was able to watch the match pretty much up until it was before the Cole Palmer goal anyway. And let me just say that goal was amazing. Like
I did see,
just
I
the
did
way
see that.
yeah, no, the way they were like pretty much doing tiki taka pretty much in the back of their own box and then managed just to transition that run and then just the strike. Like it just happened so fast. That was unreal. As for the Arsenal goal, it was okay. I mean, they fought well to earn that corner and then be able to finish it off, but really that was soft. But again, fair play to them for fighting back.
Yeah, and even as a City fan, I'll give them credit. I have nothing against Arsenal. I really don't. Like, I get that they were the main title rival with us last season, but I have nothing against this team. They're a good team. They're well coached. I like Arteta. I like his tactics. I don't really like him very much, but I like his
Yeah.
tactics. And yeah, I mean they got a good squad.
He came from
I have
Hep's tree, so yeah.
Yeah, I have them getting fourth this year. But I do think that that this will be good for them. I mean, they're going to kick on. They did sell Matt Turner to Nottingham Forest, or at least that looks like it's pretty much confirmed. Hopefully he's the starter there. But yeah, no, good win for Arsenal there, and we'll move on now to the League's Cup. We're going to talk about 4 games here. The first, which this is one of the best games I've ever seen, frankly. I mean, Dallas against Miami. The game ended 4-4. Dallas was up 4-2. Messi comes back, serves in a ball. But I gotta say, Marco Farfan on Dallas scored one of the most ridiculous own goals I've ever seen. He wasn't even trying to head that ball out; he headed it straight in. But
Mm,
then they fell. They fell right outside the box. I was like, "Oh boy, you just gave Messi a free kick in his sweet spot," and of course he scores it. Why wouldn't
yep.
he? um, but yeah, I was really hoping for Dallas. I really don't want Miami to win the League's Cup, but right now I really don't see how they don't. Maybe Charlotte can stop them, but we'll see.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Speaking of Charlotte, then we can talk about that game now if you want.
Yeah, they beat Houston 2-1. They scored 2 early goals. Or no, Houston scored early, and then Charlotte comes
Yeah.
back and scores twice. Um,
Well,
yeah,
they
it was a
scored
good game.
once.
Good game for them at home. I was really hoping for. I mean, I was whoever won that game. I'm rooting for them against Miami. That's just the straight up truth. Um, Miami won on penalties. Really, you'll have to beat them in regulation. I don't see how they lose a penalty shootout.
Yeah,
They're,
same. I agree with that.
they frankly have a lot of guys that can take it up. Even Canadian center back Kamal Miller, like he's amazing at penalties, and he did one of the funniest celebrations after scoring. His he like made a gesture towards a certain area and was like, "Yeah, I have big balls." Anyways, um,
Okay. Well, yeah, you said it.
that's basically what he did. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, Charlotte hopefully go into Miami and shock everybody. Do I think they will? Unfortunately, no. I really want them to. Don't get me wrong, but I just
Yeah.
don't see how it's possible.
And speaking from a Charlotte fan, we only won because the Dynamo had a stinker, and I'm not sure if you've seen that own goal, but my goodness, we got away with that.
Unfortunately, I haven't, but I'll have to go watch that after this. But yeah, I mean, Charlotte lined up against Miami. And yeah, we'll talk about the next game. This one pains me deeply. I went to the Revolution game last night to watch us bench our 2 best players and then lose on penalties. We are a completely different team without Carlos Heel. Carlos Heel is amazing. I love him. Super nice guy. I actually managed to talk to him yesterday. I told him, asked him how his knee was doing, because for context, his knee was actually purple, and he posted on his Instagram. He
Yikes.
posted a story that said yellow card with like the sweating emoji, and his knee's literally purple. So he's taking a shot at the ref there, but that was really funny. Yeah, he was out, and then also Gustavo Bo didn't play. Um, the Revs did well to fight back from 1-0 down. Youngster Esmir Bayraktarovic scored his first ever professional goal, uh, all 18 years of them. But in the end of the day, the Revs did lose on penalties. It was nice to have goalkeeper George Petrovic back, but um, the Revs couldn't get it done. Philly plays the Red Bulls today, so the winner of that game will host Querétaro in the next round, and then um, from there on, it'll be Miami. So yeah, Miami or Charlotte, I should say. Miami. But yeah, that'll do it for that side of the
Hmm.
bracket. And then the final Leagues Cup game I'd like to talk about is Tigres beating Vancouver on penalties. It was a good game. The main reason I wanted to talk about this was the penalty shootout. Noel Guzman with one of the most weird ways of trying to fool somebody, geek them out. He was basically acting like a mime. Leave it to Argentinian goalkeepers to do weird stuff before a penalty shootout. The best example is, of course, Emi Martinez. That guy played mind games like it was, candy. Like he loved them.
Yeah,
Nahuel
yeah,
Guzman
he's
kind of did the same thing,
gotta love the mind games.
or in this case, mime games. That's basically what it was. He was literally going like full on like like the stereotypical like French mime, like the literally putting
Oh,
their
was he
hands in
dancing around?
front.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. Like he was literally like putting his hands like he was like cleaning a window or something. Like it was so funny.
Oh, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, of course Sergio Cordova, who he was doing it, who scored his penalty, but then he eventually did save one, and Tigres move on. Honestly, that side of the bracket looks really good. There's still Club America, Tigres, as well as the AFC. So if
Yeah.
Miami do make it to the final, they will not have an easy road, especially if it
Nope.
is in if it is LAFC, because it's already been determined the League's Cup final will be held at SoFi in California. So if LAFC or frankly one of the Mexican teams make it, they're going to be the home team.
Well, it's funny you said Miami there. Hmm.
Yeah, well, dude, they're the favorites at this point. They're the favorites. They just are. Like Messi's been unstoppable.
Yeah, he's been unstoppable, but he's only one player though as well.
How many times have people said that about him? Let's just be honest here.
Yep.
Messi's so good. He has the ability to literally turn a game on its head and just take it on his back and just win. That's what he does. It's what he's done his whole career. Like
We got
he
Kalina.
he's so good. Okay,
We got Kalina.
he's a
Super
decent
duper
keeper.
Kalina.
He's not Messi. He just isn't Messi.
Yeah,
Like
he's Kalina.
Messi's going to score four on him. Yeah, but moving on from the League's Cup, we have just a quick rundown of the Women's World Cup. Unfortunately, we haven't really been able to watch it. I think I've watched the Netherlands game against South Africa. I must say that, like I talked about this with Hunter last week. The timings of these games are awful, and I just
Yeah,
unfortunately haven't had the time to watch the highlights. Like the League's Cup timings are great. I get to just lay in my bed and watch the game,
agreed. Yeah,
and I kind of did that with the Netherlands game too. But the timings are bad. They just are. Like they're not good. The one thing I am going to say though, I did a predictions bracket of the round of 16, and I went 8 for 8. I got every single one right. Was it that difficult? No, not really. The only upset I really
no,
called was Sweden beating the U.S.,
yeah,
which they did. The U.S. are out. A lot of people are happy about that.
bit weird,
Personally,
but yeah,
they just played a bad tournament. Like
yeah, they weren't that good.
Vlatko needs to go. Like if I'm a neutral when it comes to the U.S. women's national team because I am Canadian, but they need to go. Like the Vlatko needs to go. And yeah, the U.S. played a horrible tournament. Sweden deserved to win. They relied a lot on their goalkeeper. She made 11 saves, I think, before the penalty shootout, and
Yeah,
the U.S. just
they're
couldn't take
horrible at
penalties.
defending.
They couldn't take them. They
Yeah,
kept
not
missing.
even that. They're just horrible at defending. Like I remember, I actually got to watch the game versus the Netherlands live, and let me just say, the fact that they managed to even scrap a draw there was shocking to me.
Yeah, and I mean the Dutch are a good team. They beat South Africa 2-0. I did watch that game. The only problem with them going into the next round is Danielle Van de Donk is out for the game on yellow card accumulation. She's one of the Dutch's best players. They're already without Vivian Miedema, so they're going to be up against it. But I think they'll be fine. But yeah, the U.S. is out, and I think one of the more shocking results here is that England they drew Nigeria 0-0 in the actual game. England won on penalties. How like it's like everything that the men's team can't do, the women's team can.
Yeah.
They won the Euros. They could win it. They could win on penalties.
Yep.
Like, yeah, no, good for them though. I can't think of her name. Who scored the final one? The only problem is Reece James' sister Lauren did get sent off, so that's a big loss for the Lionesses. Um, and yeah, England's one of my teams to make the final. The other one being Japan. So I will. We'll see what happens there with the England women's team.
Yeah, France are pretty good too.
France look really good. They won 4-0 in their last game. So they're a solid squad. They're one that I definitely think has a good chance at winning something, but we'll see. I kind of hope that they play. I kind of hope they play England at some point.
I was gonna say they're on the same side of the bracket because I haven't really taken a look at the bracket to see who's placed where exactly.
Yeah, I'm taking a look right now just to update this, a little better. But yeah, no, England look really good. France look great. But yeah, they are on the same side of the bracket. Australia beat Denmark 2-0, so they are going to play France. Colombia, who I did predict to win over Jamaica, is going to play England. Linda Caicedo is obviously their star player. She's looked really good. She's very young too. So those are both be good, great matches. And then on the other side of the bracket, Japan beat Norway 3-1. Spain beat Switzerland 5-1. Two huge results. Spain looked really good as well. They're playing the Dutch, and then Japan is playing Sweden. All these teams are really good. Honestly, I could see any of them winning the whole thing, and that's one thing that you can't really say about the men's World Cup is it's not usually that wide
Yeah.
open. It's not. And that's one thing that's great about the Women's World Cup. And again, I feel really bad that I've been able to watch these games just because the timings are so bad. I'm not staying up until 3 a.m. to watch a game. I wouldn't do that for the Men's World Cup. Like I wouldn't. Like it's impossible for me. I got work at 9. So yeah,
Yeah, same.
I am gonna throw FIFA under the bus here. I really am, and just say that they really should have chosen either a different country or worked around the times a little better for the Western world, because that's frankly where a lot of your viewership is going to come from, is the Western world. Europe and America, like the North and South America. That's where it's going to be.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I can understand that, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I
outside
can
of
understand that, but at the same time, it's like say when there's like a host country, say like now with the US that's going to be hosting, then like say the likes of like Australia, Oceania, and then also parts of say Eastern Europe and Asia, then they're not going to be able to have the opportunity to view some of the games too. So it can kind of go both ways, really.
sure, but
Yeah,
even then, say a game is played at 7 p.m. American time. That's about 7 a.m. for Australia. That's doable. It's a little more likely. Like 9 o'clock for a game here isn't super late. I mean, we've seen tons of games go past that. I mean, look at baseball. We've seen games go to like 2 a.m. Go through. It's not uncommon. Um, I just think that they could have done better with their timings. I mean, it really like play their games at like 8 or 9. So they have for some of them. It hurts viewership numbers, and it's unfortunate.
well, yeah, I think the also thing is when it comes to that is you can't just have like all the games also start at like a particular time too, because then you're gonna have like
Sure,
traffic issues and also with the likes of with the teams trying to get in with training and all that, and then even the fans that are trying to attend the games too, they have to be up
yeah,
really early, try to commute and all that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that.
there is, but it really, if I mean, most of the teams that are left in this World Cup are European or from North or South America. The only ones that aren't are Australia and Japan. You're hurting the viewership for all of these other teams. All the teams that are frankly really good. Like England's behind, we're behind. Like a game that's 5. It's a little better for Europe than the U.S., but I mean, yeah, like it's not good for viewership. It just isn't. But that's all I really got to say for that. Do you have anything else to add?
I mean, there's not really much else to say. It's just like you kind of have to take it, you know. There's 8 billion people in this world. I'm not sure how many people watch the game itself,
That's true.
but billions anyway, I can say about that. So you can only really cater and have it right perfectly for a particular section of the entire world. Good benefit is though the next tournaments now when it comes to the men's World Cup, it will be in the US. So me
Right
and
here.
you, we're gonna have to meet up sometime and be able to go to a few games there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That is likely. That is likely. I'm actually
Yeah.
going to the same game with Hunter, the USA against Germany in Connecticut. So that'll be cool. Um,
Grand, yeah. Sound
yeah.
we'll have to plan it out.
Yes, sir. Anyways, that will do it for us this week. We discussed some transfer news, some Leagues Cup, some Women's World Cup, kind of summarized there. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We're really trying to build this up a little bit. Go follow Football Biz Podcast on Instagram. Feel free to follow either myself or Evan as well. We will always be open for questions. Feel free to DM the Football Biz as well. Um, yeah, we have a lot of exciting news coming up. There is I'm currently in the process of getting a Revolution player an interview, which is going to be really exciting.
Yeah,
But yeah,
very
stay
exciting.
tuned for more. Please follow. And as always, I am Grayson Mortimer,
And I'm Evan McGuire.
and we will see you next time.